So a common one that comes up is ice versus heat. When should I do one? Should I do both? Should I offset? We'll go over a few things here first. So first off, ice. Ice is really helpful in that within the first few hours of injury. So sprained ankle, or you hurt something, like you bend over, hurt your back, icing immediately after, within the first couple hours can be helpful to decrease some of the amount of swelling that goes in there. However, after that first, we'll say day, after that first few hours, they've shown this multiple times now that actually when we ice the area, we are decreasing the inflammation, which is true. However, if we are decreasing that inflammation, but that inflammation is what comes in and actually heals the tissue, we're actually slowing down the healing process after that first couple hours. The reason why it can be helpful up front is sometimes, obviously, don't want too much rushing in too fast. And there are a few instances where certain areas of the body can only handle so much inflammation before it can cause other significant damage. So in the sense of an initial injury, icing is going to be helpful right away. Typically, probably your best option is something like a bag full of ice. So as it melts, it's going to cool off. It's not going to completely cause like a freezer burn versus like some of those gel packs that you put in the freezer. Sometimes you have to be careful about overcooling and actually causing frostbite. So that's probably your most common scenario for ice. The other time ice can be helpful is if it's just so painful that you just need to numb the pain a little bit. You can throw some ice on there, and that can help it just to decrease some of that pain level. Okay, so moving on to the other side, so heat. So why is heat more beneficial than the ice? Is with the heat, the big difference here is now we're applying heat to the injured area. That heat's actually going to speed everything up, and at that molecular level and in those cells, it's going to help things move faster. So it's getting fluid into the area, getting things to move around, and then flushing some of that out a little bit more effectively than if we were to just slow it down and make it really sluggish with the ice. So anything past that first, like I said, 12 hours, easy thing to remember is if it's a day over your injury, don't ice. It's not super helpful anymore. But realistically, a few hours is really all that window is. But throwing heat on it is going to be more beneficial because it helps things move quicker, helps things recover faster. Because again, going back to the whole ice that we were talking about, is inflammation is not a bad thing. It is actually something that that's our body's way of healing. And if we slow it down with an ice scenario, or going into the anti-inflammatories, if we completely stop that gate, then we are decreasing the amount of healing and nutrients that are able to get to that area to help it heal. So the heat tends to get that to move faster. So what should you do with an injury right away? So big concern first off would be excuse me. First one would be want to ice it right away if it just happened. We do want to elevate it because that's going to help get that fluid, so you're getting some movement, but it's also getting out of there. So it's that recycling of fluid. Compression is a good thing to be able to, just again, we don't want it to swell up too much and then just stay there. but we want to start moving it and optimally loading it. So there's a lot of it depends scenario depending on the type of injury, but we don't want to just sit there and just let it pool up with fluid, because that can be a big issue as well. So there's a couple things that you can kind of work on when it comes to ice and heat. Sometimes the alternating can help pump some of that fluid a little bit more, but typically, again, after that first day or so, heat's going to be your best option. So if you have any questions, concerns, feel free to let me know, and hope that helped, and we'll talk to you soon.